Welcome back! Today we are going to talk about series that I want to continue, that I've started, and I'm intrigued to know what's going on, what's gonna happen. I'm attached to the characters and I can't wait for the rest. So I'm going to talk about them in the order of like the most excited I am to the least excited I am. And for the ones that I'm not very excited about, I would like your opinions about it. Should I continue? Should I not continue? But they will be near the end of this video. And in today's list, I'm not going to talk about the series I'm up to date with or the series I've already finished. I'm only going to talk about the series that I want to continue. So if there is no Brandon Sanderson, it's because I'm up to date with all of his releases. That's why he's not on that list. So the first one I'm very excited about, I just started it. It's Phryne Fisher by Kerry GREENWOOD. There is like 20 books in that series. I don't know how many. It's a murder mystery series. We follow Phryne Fisher. She is a lady detective in Australia in the 1929, I believe. I love reading about her. I've watched the TV show before reading the books, and I can picture her. She's such the same person on camera as in the books. She is light and funny, but also very clever and a very driven person. She can be sometimes a bit rash to make decisions, like she can like burn through stuff, but she's always very generous and very kindly hearted. Is that how you say that? Anyway, I have read 3 books by hers. I picked it up in my TBR for the month of December, and I've already read 3 of the books. I read the one I wanted to read for this month, and then I just couldn't stop. I read 2 more. They are so easy, you know, like when I'm feeling a bit down and I don't know what to read, I just pick up one of them. They go by very quickly and they warm my heart, and then I move on to the next story. So the second series I'm very excited is Beartown by Frederik BACKMAN. He is a Swedish author. This series follow a town in Sweden where they are fascinated by hockey. Hockey is at the heart of the whole community, and basically the plot for the first book is there is a young girl that is raped by one of the stars of the hockey team, and all that ensues from that, the chaos that ensues in the town. It's very interesting. You follow plenty of different characters, different group ages, which is very interesting. I'm getting a bit fed up with all the coming of age stories. They are very interesting, but I want to see like people like married for 20 years and see their struggle, or people who are in their 60s who lost the love of their lives, and like what are they doing now, like how do they keep on living, you know. That it's very interesting, and the underlying comment on society that is in this series is very interesting. I only read the first one, Beartown, and I want to read Us Against You. I think it's the second one, and there is a third one who is going to come potentially at some point, and yeah, I'm excited to read that. I want to take my time with this series. I want to let it sink in. I want to appreciate the character work that is just divine, and I recommend it to you if you want to read it. Third, it's the Robot series by ASIMOV. I've discovered ASIMOV last year reading The Complete Robot, his collection of short stories. He's a science fiction author from the 40s, 50s, 60s, up to the 70s, I believe. And before his death, he published an order you should read all of his books. So that's what I'm doing. I'm reading them in order. He said to do it. I'm a very good student. I follow the rules. The Robot series is 4 books. The Case of Seal, Naked Sun, Robot of Dawn, and Robots and Empire, where we follow a detective. So it's on Earth, I don't know, 1,000 years later from now. We have conquered other planets outside of the solar system. Human lives on different type of planets with robots, but on Earth we stayed without robots, and we are afraid of them, and we don't trust them. And so we follow a detective on Earth who, for some reason, for a murder case, has to work with a robot that coming from another planet. And it's super interesting to see the relationship start like at the really beginning, there's that distrust and that disdain from the detective to the robot, and then they spark a friendship, and through that friendship the detective starts thinking about his society and how to evolve it, and it's super interesting. I have the 4th one to read this month, Robot Empire, and finish that series, and then I'll be on to another one. Next, the Gentleman Bastard series with the Lies of Locamora and Red Seas Under Red Skies, and the Republic of Thieves, I believe the 3rd one is. I've read The Lies of Locamora last year, and it's a slow burning book. It's a fantasy, but there is no magic system established. Like the characters don't play with magic, like the magic is in the world. You see magic through the world building a little bit, but it's not like at the forefront of the story. We follow a group of thieves who have been groomed by a priest under like kind of a church. You see them evolve from kids to like young adults, doing this bigger and bigger schemes, and you follow them through this whole city. It's a very interesting story. The setting is beautiful, the writing is very well done. Even if it's a slow burning book, you still kept intrigued the whole time. You have some back and forth in the timeline, which can be a bit jarring for some people, but it makes sense. As soon as you finish reading the chapter that was set in the past, it makes sense in the present. I wanted to read Red Seas Under Red Skies, but I don't know why I waited so long, and now I want to reread the Lies of Locamora first, and then Red Seas Under Red Skies. Also a very important topic in that series is friendship. There's a beautiful friendship in there, and if you like that element, I recommend that series for sure. And another mystery series, it's Hercule Poirot by Agatha Christie. I started wanting to read some Agatha Christie this year, so I made up a list for myself of like the top 10 Hercule Poirot I wanted to read, the top 5 Miss Marple I wanted to read, stuff like this. And I'm pretty far along. I think I've read like 8 or 9 of those, and I'm enjoying myself. I prefer a lot more Hercule Poirot than Miss Marple. Hercule Poirot, I loved it. Like he has so much disdain, and he's so narcissistic, and he loves his mustache, but he's also a genius, and it's a character that you love to hate. The problem is that he's just too smart, so you want to keep seeing him solve mysteries. So I enjoyed most of the books that was on my top 10 with Hercule Poirot, and I want to continue next year and maybe expand the list a little bit and read even more of those stories. And if you're interested in Christie's work or Hercule Poirot, I could make a whole video about all the books that I've read and my recommendations and like the order. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. A Good Girl Guides to Murder, it's a YA mystery series where we follow a young girl that is in high school and want to solve a murder. Basically, a couple of years ago, a girl was murdered in her town, and a friend, connaissance of her, was credited for the murder, and he killed himself. And she doesn't believe that story, and as a school project she wants to take on and solve that case. What I appreciate in this series that at the end of the first book, the whole intrigue is wrapped up and you're not left hanging. And there's a second book, but it's gonna be on a different case. And also there's a romance, but it's not at the forefront, so it's like sometimes in YA it's like too much in your face, the romance. Like here, it's here and there, but it's not at the forefront at all. And like if you don't care about romance, you can still read it and you won't see it. Like another series that I like, and it was fun to pass time, but I'm not like completely in love or whatever, but it's good. It's the Montague siblings. I'll put the covers here because I can't remember the name, they were way too long. I've read the 2 books, and there's a 3rd one coming in beginning of next year, I believe. I'll probably read that as a breather in between other books. It's historical fiction, YA, with a lot of LGBTQ plus character, set in the Middle Age, at the end of the Middle Age, I will believe. All around Europe, we travel a lot with these siblings. We follow an heir who doesn't want to enrich the estate and be a good boy and marry and have children's and all this. So he kind of escaped with his best friend and his sister and an adult figure, I can't remember. And they go through all those perils all over France and Southern Europe, and it was very fun to follow. It's when you read this, you don't think too much. Like if you start thinking too much about the plots, it doesn't really make sense. You read this because it's fun and it has good rep, and yeah, that's the reason to read it. And we come to the last two series that I want to continue, but I'm not really sure. It will be surely way in the future, but let me know what you think and should I read them or not. First one is The Memoirs of Lady Trent. I've read that last month on the recommendation I've heard on Brennan Sanderson kind of discussion. He was talking with Mary, I'll put her name somewhere, and she recommended that series. She described it as the Dowager of Downton Abbey, telling you the story of her youth as a dragon specialist, a dragon historian, a dragon naturalist. That's what it is. It really is that you have the spiciness in her language, and she's also like way older when she's telling the story of when she was younger. So she has the wiseness of age, but she's also very sassy, and I really like that. But it's a bit long, and you have description upon descriptions of stuff that are not super interesting. But it's supposed to be a naturalist story, so of course you're gonna have a lot of science, and I don't mind that. I really enjoy it, but it was a bit long, certain passages. And also at the end something happened, and it was very jarring the way it was handled in the book. I was not prepared for it. It was not overshadowed at all, and it was a bit of a shock. I was like, wait, what? You sure? You wanna go there? Okay. And it kind of ended abruptly, and it was like, okay, it could have been handled way better. And so now I don't know if I really want to continue, if it was just like one incident, it's not gonna reproduce in the rest of the story, it's gonna be written better, or if that's gonna continue, then I don't want to put my time into that series, because that's not something I'm interested in. But let me know if you've read it or what you think, because dragons, like, and look at those covers, they're gorgeous. I'm very shallow. And the last series is The Witcher. I started reading this 2 years ago almost, on the recommendation of Elliot Brooks. She loves that series, and she loves it also because she started with the games The Witcher. I don't know anything about the games The Witcher. I enjoyed the world. I really enjoyed the character of Geralt and his love interest. But the young person, what's her name? Can't remember. Not so much. Siri. Not very interested in. And the way Andrzej Sapkowski writes, I'm always lost. I always don't know where we are, what's going on. And of course, it's the way he writes, but for me, it's a bit difficult. Maybe it's English. It's not English, because I've tried reading them in French and it was also lost. I don't know. I love Dandelion. I love the characters. It's just the plot. I don't know what's going on. You're supposed to take on the world building through dialogues and discussion, but I'm always completely lost, and there's so much vocabulary that I don't know. And I don't know if it's linked, like, because it's Polish monsters, because the writer is Polish. Monsters. Polish fantasy and science fiction and folklore that I don't know about, or it's in English that I don't know those words. I don't know what's going on, but I'm lost most of the time. What do you recommend? Have you read it? Is it like, should I push on and like focus more when I read those and because it's worth it, or should I just give up? Let me know. So that's it for this video. Let me know if I convince you to read any of those series, if you've read any of them, if you want to recommend some of them to me. I'm gonna make the beginning of January a list of all the series I want to start next year. So let me know, like, give me a recommendation and maybe I'll put them in that video. Bye!